Today we're going to be discussing Batman because the new Batman movie is going to come out in just a couple of weeks here, and we wanted to rank for you all of the Batman movies, TV shows, the whole shebang. I'll be doing that in just one moment. This video is brought to you by my friends at ExpressVPN. The worst movie of all, of course, Batman and Robin, 1997. It's directed by Joel Schumacher, who most famously directed Phantom of the Opera. And it is filled with bizarre homoerotic references and nippled Batman suits. And that's the one with Uma Thurman and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. It is just terrible in every respect. There's not a minute of it that's good. It basically finished Chris O'Donnell's career. I'm not sure that he ever made a movie after that again.
Rubber lips are immune to your charms.
Or if he has, nobody remembers it. It got horrible reviews at the time. It actually made money at the box office, but not by much. That movie cost, I believe, like $160 million in budget. And man, you can see that money on the screen. I'm joking. You can't. It's terrible.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
Batman Forever, 1995. You get Val Kilmer as Batman. And this should have been way better than it was, given the size of the cast. Because you have Val Kilmer as Batman. You have Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face, who's just off winning an Oscar from The Fugitive.
I don't care!
And you have Jim Carrey, who's one of the world's biggest stars at this point, as the Riddler. And somehow this thing is just a giant fail. It's not good. Now, all of these things are sort of bizarrely watchable in a very campy way, but Batman Forever is not a good movie. Okay, next, we've got the Adam West Batman. Now, I grew up on the Adam West Batman. It's probably the first Batman I engaged with, and it's really dumb and kind of funny. Mainly it's funny because it has all the, holy cheese, Batman, it's Swiss, kind of lines from Robin.
Holy hole in a donut!
And it's got, of course, Cesar Romero with the Joe Biden grin as the Joker, and you've got the off-kilter camera angles, and you've got the spinning camera, and all of that. But it's not really about Batman. It's very campy TV, kind of like Gilligan's Island, if Gilligan were Batman. And it's not really that great. All you need to know is Adam West ended up as a character on Family Guy.
Help! I'm lost in corn!
Okay, next, we have Batman Returns. This is the sequel to the original Tim Burton Batman. And this is the one with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
Meow.
A lot of people really like this movie. I'm not one of those people. So as you will see in my rankings here, I don't like the Tim Burton Batman. I think it is way too stylized. It is weird. I don't think the performances are particularly good. So I don't like Batman Returns very much. Lego Batman is actually really funny. I enjoy Will Arnett's Batman. The interplay, the dialogue between Lego Batman and Lego Joker is really, really funny. It's a very entertaining film. But again, it's not really Batman so much as it is a parody of Batman. And so I'm trying to be sincere in these Batman rankings. But Lego Batman is entertaining. My kids like it as well. Then we get to Batman 1989. So this sort of led off the revival of Batman as a property in general. So it gets a lot of credit. I don't love it. I got to be honest with you. Michael Keaton as Batman just doesn't work for me. He doesn't have the gravitas necessary to pull off Batman, nor is he actually a very charming Bruce Wayne. So that's a bizarre bit of casting. Jack Nicholson chews the scenery, basically comes straight off the set of The Shining to chew the scenery. Not in love with it. Also, I don't like Danny Elfman's scores. I may be the only person in America who really does not like Danny Elfman's scores, but I think Danny Elfman's scores are just overwrought garbage. So I'm not a Batman 1989 fan. Okay, next, we have the Batman animated series. So the Batman animated series is actually really good. If you actually watch any of the Batman animated series, you have Mark Hamill as the voice of the Joker, and he's actually pretty terrific. The animated series is actually pretty gritty and tough, and actually sort of creates the predicate, I would say, for the recasting of Batman as a gritty and tough property in the Nolan film. It's definitely closer to the Christopher Nolan type of Batman than it is to the Batman of Batman Forever, or maybe even the Batman of Tim Burton. Okay, now, here are the most controversial picks on the list. On this list, I'm going to put the Snyder cut of Justice League. The Snyder cut of Justice League is good. The Joss Whedon cut is just terrible. It's one of the worst movies ever made. The Joss Whedon cut is awful because Joss Whedon is a horrible director who is wildly overrated in every aspect of his career. Also happens to be kind of a nasty person. The Snyder cut is really good. The Snyder cut is 1,000 hours long and really entertaining, and it holds together and actually has a narrative. And Ben Affleck's Batman is really underrated. So I'm not a Ben Affleck fan. Although I will say late stage Ben Affleck is much better than early stage Ben Affleck.
Applesauce.
He was just in The Last Duel. He was actually terrific and should have gotten an Oscar nomination for it. But Ben Affleck in Justice League and Batman v Superman is actually quite great. He's playing the sort of Frank Miller Batman and Robin All-Stars version of Batman who really enjoys his job. So there's this sort of undercurrent in a lot of the Batman movies that Batman really hates being Batman. But Frank Miller's Batman and Robin All-Stars, he really enjoys it. He's kind of a sadist, which makes sense. I mean, he's super rich. So if he's doing it, he must enjoy something about it. The Ben Affleck Batman is that. He's kind of a sociopath, and that's what makes it sort of interesting. He's sort of a hero, but he's also a sociopath and a genius. So Snyder Cut Justice League comes in next. We'll get to more Batman rankings in just 1 second. First, let's say that you're Bruce Wayne. And let's say that you have to order masks, say from some Chinese shell company. Would it make sense to have anybody actually monitor your internet activity? I don't think so. This is why you need ExpressVPN. Think about how much of your life is on the internet. Sadly, every site you visit, video you watch, message you send gets tracked and data mined. When you run ExpressVPN on your device, the software hides your IP address, something big tech can use to personally identify you. So ExpressVPN makes your activity harder to trace and sell to advertisers. What I like most about ExpressVPN is how easy it is to use. The first thing you do, you go on your phone and then you hit this ExpressVPN app. It's open, but I am not connected. This is a problem. So I hit the button, and now magically, I am connected and protected from prying eyes. ExpressVPN does all of this without slowing your connection. That's why it's rated the #1 VPN service by CNET and Wired. Stop handing over your personal data to the big tech monopoly that mines your activity and sells your information. Protect yourself with the VPN I trust to keep me safe online. Visit expressvpn.com/BenYT to get 3 extra months for free. Again, that's expressvpn.com/BenYT. Now, the most controversial pick on this list, Batman v Superman. I'm still the only person in America who will back my Batman v Superman love. I really like Batman v Superman. I watched it like twice in the theater. It's a very long movie. Snyder's imagery really works here. I understand people had a problem with the whole Martha of it at the very end.
Why did you say that name?
But you know what? Like, get over it. That's where your suspension of disbelief broke down, not the alien who has every power or the billionaire who dresses up as a bat at night in robotic clothing to harm criminals. It really broke down when the sympathy engendered by their mothers sharing the same name. That's where it broke down for you. So obviously, look, anytime you have a Batman versus Superman battle, it's going to be tough because Superman is just going to wreck Batman. And he's the most powerful being in the galaxy, and he can do anything that he wants. Batman standing up to him in the battle between Batman and Superman doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. But the basic premise of it is pretty great because it does the one thing, Batman versus Superman, that Marvel refuses to do, which is look at the consequences of its own actions. So Marvel, you have people just destroying cities wholesale, and no one seems to care. Nobody's ever harmed. You knock down entire buildings and everybody's fine. In Batman versus Superman, the entire premise is that Batman thinks that Superman is bad because Superman has now engaged in the end of Man of Steel in a city-destroying battle with Zod. And so Batman is like, well, we can't have beings this powerful running around with no check on them, which is actually pretty good. I don't hate the Jesse Eisenberg Lex Luthor the way that everybody else does. Just plays him as Zuckerberg. So Batman v Superman is #4 on my list. Next, we get the Nolan trilogy. It's the top 3. It's the Nolan trilogy. In what order? Here we go. #3, Batman Begins. Now, there's a case that should be #2. Batman Begins is a terrific film, and the expectations for it were really, really low. Because remember, the last Batman movie before this was Batman and Robin.
Never leave the cave without him.
Which sucked. So Batman Begins comes out, and people are like, is this really going to be good? And it's not just good, it is great. The first hour of Batman Begins is one of the best movies ever made. The first hour with the origin story of Batman and everything with Ra's al Ghul and Liam Neeson, it's just terrific. So I'm, first of all, a Liam Neeson fanboy. I love Liam Neeson. I'm a Christian Bale fanboy. Christian Bale's fantastic. And I'm a Nolan super fanboy. I'm an uber Nolan fanboy, as you know. And so Batman Begins is sort of the first time he jumps onto the national and international stage as a major filmmaker. And it's just fantastic. It's just great. Like, every element works. He somehow makes Katie Holmes not terrible. And of course, Bale transforms himself because Bale is one of our great actors. And Batman Begins, it's just great. And it really leads off the revitalization of the entire superhero genre. So Dark Knight Rises, which is rooted in A Tale of Two Cities. You should join our book club because we're actually doing A Tale of Two Cities over at the book club. But Dark Knight Rises is about the evils of mob psychology. It's about the evils of populism. It's about the evils of communism. It's a really right-wing movie. I mean, Bruce Wayne is clearly a right-winger. He's a billionaire who donates money to charity, but does not believe that he should be taxed at exorbitant rates. And then he spends his evenings attempting to capture bad guys. Now, look, the big flaw for Batman always is that in a system where you know that the criminals are going to be immediately released back onto the streets from Arkham Asylum, do you kill them? You kind of have to in Batman's world. Also, Bane is just great, right? Everybody can do the Bane impression.
It would be extremely painful.
You're a big guy.
For you.
And everybody has a Batman voice. It's a Christian Bale Batman because of Nolan. What do you want?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
It's got Tom Hardy, who's terrific. It's got Michael Caine being Michael Caine. It's just great. Dark Knight Rises is great. And I know a lot of people are mad at the end of Dark Knight Rises because Bruce Wayne lives, but you can't get to the end of Batman and Bruce Wayne doesn't live. Come on. That's just, it's too much. I understand people think there are plot holes and all that. Dark Knight Rises, as a movie, it still works and it's very, very compelling. And then, of course, you got the greatest of all superhero movies and one of the best movies of all time, Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight, which has a bunch of phenomenal performances. Obviously, Heath Ledger gives just an iconic Joker performance, much better than Joaquin Phoenix's performance. I know people are very into the Joaquin Phoenix, but I didn't love that performance in Joker. The Joker played by Heath Ledger is creepy and compelling. The script is first rate. It's a complex script. It's a really interesting moral script. As my friend Andrew Clavin suggested, it is in fact a metaphor about the war on terror. Dark Knight is just a phenomenal movie. It moves at the speed of light. It's a bullet train. That sucker starts and it just does not stop for 2.5 hours. It is phenomenal. I remember I went and saw it with my sister and my dad, like first night, late at night. And I never do this for films. That's how excited we were about Dark Knight. And we came out just blown away because it's great. I mean, and it really holds up. It's terrific. It is yet to be matched. So, The Batman. Haven't seen it yet. Looking forward to seeing it because, again, it looks like the new director is going to be taking it in the Nolan-esque direction. I'm actually not that down on Robert Pattinson as Batman because he's actually a pretty underrated actor.
I am better than you.
And I like the sort of realistic, gritty feel. And what I like about the DC universe generally is that it takes itself very seriously. The Marvel universe is always winking at the camera, and I don't appreciate that. I don't like it very much. Like, I know I'm watching a comic book movie. Don't tell me I'm watching a comic book movie. I know. I don't need you informing me. DC says you're in this universe, and now that you're in the universe, we're going to take the universe seriously and its rules seriously. That's what I appreciate about it. So I'm hoping that The Batman is good, but I'll bring you my review of that when it comes out.
All right, everyone, chill.